The BRICS economic bloc, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, commands a substantial presence on the global stage. The emergence of this bloc presents numerous opportunities for regional political and economic collaboration. Further, it signifies a shift in the global economic landscape, one that offers immense benefits for all stakeholders. Together, these nations account for over 45% of the world's population and approximately 28% of the global GDP. With such a formidable share of the economic pie, you're probably asking yourself whether you should be worried about the BRICS. Will it beat internal differences to become a global geopolitical and economic pillar? One thing for sure is that the dominance of BRICS nations will grow. However, maintaining effectiveness will depend on how well it manages each member nation's varying priorities. The term BRICS originated as an acronym coined by economist Jim O'Neill in 2001 in a research paper published by Goldman Sachs titled Building Better Global Economic BRICS. Initially, the acronym referred to 4 emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. These countries were identified by O'Neill as having the potential to become dominant players in the global economy due to their rapid economic growth, large populations, and abundant natural resources. Later, in 2010, South Africa got an invitation to join the group, expanding it from BRIC to BRICS. This addition was seen as a recognition of its growing economic importance in the African continent and its potential to contribute to the collective influence of the group. Since then, BRICS has evolved into a platform for cooperation and dialogue among its member countries on various economic, political, and strategic issues. The BRICS nations collectively represent a significant portion of the global economy, with their economic performance and growth trajectories attracting considerable attention. Over the years, the BRICS has become quite powerful in various ways, as we shall see in this video. The BRICS countries together account for a substantial share of global GDP. According to data from the World Bank, as of August 2023, the BRICS economies contributed approximately 36% to the world's GDP and up to 47% of the global population, with China being the largest contributor, followed by India, Brazil, Russia, and South Africa. The BRICS countries are also major players in international trade, with China being the leading trading partner of BRICS member countries. In 2023, China's trade volume with these countries rose by 19.1% year-on-year. Meanwhile, the total exports to BRICS countries rose by 23.9%, while imports increased by 14.3%. The BRICS countries are home to a large share of the world's population. More than 3.3 billion people dwelled in the BRICS countries in 2023, and this is inclusive of China and India, which are the most populous globally. The new development bank, established by the BRICS nations, has approved loans for various infrastructure projects. Up to 94 projects have benefited from the bank's financial support to date. The bank had set aside $18.9 billion to support up to 78 projects between 2023 and 2024. 2023 was crucial in BRICS bilateral trade. BRICS pushed member countries to collaborate and cooperate in creating alternative payment systems with a focus on a common currency. China, Russia, and India are set to launch their common use digital currencies by 2025. What you see, and what the predictions also indicate, is that these economies continue to grow. Especially China and India appear to be making significant strides. It's a group that increasingly sets itself apart from Western countries and organizations like the G7. The BRICS countries show that the world order is changing. The economic goals of the BRICS group are underpinned by a commitment to enhancing economic cooperation, promoting sustainable development, and strengthening their collective influence in the global economy. The economic goals of the BRICS group are many, so we'll discuss the main options. To start, BRICS promotes trade and investment, focusing on enhancing mutual cooperation while also aiming to reduce costs and diversify the economy. During the 15th BRICS Summit in 2023, the delegates encouraged the representation of developing countries and emerging markets in multilateral and international organizations. Furthermore, they demonstrated their commitment to creating a peaceful environment to promote development and partnership to speed up growth. BRICS nations have made strides in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. During the Brics Summit in August 2023, the attendants recognized the need to implement the SDGs holistically and in an integrated manner. In more encouraging news, the stakeholders pledged their commitment to reducing hunger and poverty while promoting trade. BRICS nations have been keen on advocating for reforms in international financial institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Doing so will improve how developing countries are represented. But why is this push for reform important? It will give emerging economies a greater voice in decision-making processes. Moreover, it will enhance responsiveness among global governance institutions in addressing the needs and interests of all member countries. The BRICS aims to establish alternative global operations, primarily to address perceived shortcomings in the current global governance architecture and to assert greater influence on the international stage. In September of 2023, the BRICS meeting saw a gross domestic product share of 6 new members added to the 5-member BRICS grouping, which was just an 11% addition, with Saudi Arabia's contribution being the highest at 4%. The proposed addition of Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to the 5-member BRICS was to push the group's share in the global GDP to 30% from 26%. Delving into the global markets amidst whispers of de-dollarization, in April of 2023, statements by prominent figures like Alexander Babakov in New Delhi and Brazil's President Lula in Beijing stirred the pot of global finance. They hinted at a bold move by the BRICS nations to establish their own currency, dubbed the BRIC, for cross-border trade, challenging the dominance of the US dollar. While skeptics question the feasibility of such a venture, citing past failures and uncertainties surrounding the extent of BRICS members' support, the economic potential is undeniable. With the collective GDP surpassing the United States and the entire G7 bloc, a BRICS-issued currency could signal a big change in global financial dynamics. Unlike previous contenders, the BRIC carries tangible promise, presenting a genuine threat to the dollar's dominance. In providing mutual economic cooperation, BRICS have also offered alternatives to existing global mechanisms deemed to be heavily influenced by the collective West and their policies. The BRICS New Development Bank, established as a partial alternative to the World Bank, has approved over 90 projects worth $32 billion to support members' infrastructure. Strengthening the role of the New Development Bank will help achieve BRICS' national interests. The West's approach to isolate Russia has created more incentives within the BRICS to increase trade with domestic currencies or create a common currency. BRICS' combined efforts are seen in cooperation and collaboration in developing alternative payment systems to SWIFT, the gradual development of a non-dollar financial system, and the development of a common payment system, BRICS Pay. At the 14th BRICS Summit in June 2022, economic cooperation was also discussed. Paying attention to providing better interfacing in handling global crises, forming a multipolar economic strategy, developing alternative commercial and financial routes, promoting economic recovery, diversifying the economy, minimizing costs, developing electronic commerce, integrating markets, and cooperating with other nations have made BRICS attractive to smaller and other emerging countries. In 2023, incentives for official participation in BRICS increased. Although BRICS Plus was created in 2017 and invited non-BRICS officials, recently China has supported the concept of expanding cooperation within the BRICS Plus model. Moscow has also mentioned the potential expansion of BRICS member nations, with over 40 countries believed to have expressed interest in joining. In the meantime, in addition to reviewing the collective decision of the organization and having the necessary conditions and procedures for the process of accepting new members, the structure of BRICS and the process of accepting new countries may change with the joining of more countries. BRICS aims to revolutionize global operations, to rectify perceived flaws in current global governance, and enhance its influence on the world stage. As it continues to gain traction, with nations expressing their interest, BRICS is evolving and potentially expanding, and its role in shaping global economics and diplomacy becomes increasingly significant. Predicting whether BRICS will succeed in becoming the world's most powerful economic bloc is inherently challenging. While BRICS countries collectively possess significant economic potential and have taken steps to strengthen cooperation and coordination, several challenges and uncertainties remain pertinent. BRICS countries exhibit diverse economic structures and levels of development. For example, bilateral trade between China and Brazil hit $165.6 billion in 2022, increasing by 8.1% year on year. In April 2023, the two countries signed multiple trade agreements, pushing bilateral trade to $13.85 billion in June 2023, with numerous investments and developments in the pipeline. The China-Brazil trade is likely to improve significantly. While Brics countries have made strides in enhancing economic cooperation, achieving the status of the world's most powerful economic bloc will require sustained efforts, strategic reforms, and effective collaboration among member nations. Its success will depend on the member countries' ability to address internal challenges, navigate external pressures, and capitalize on opportunities in an increasingly dynamic global environment.